Hey everyone! I'm very excited to do this video. I've made icebergs in the past, and it is absolutely one of my favorite genres on YouTube, if you can count it as that. The theories and analysis videos have been done countless times already, so instead I'll show my appreciation through an iceberg. If you don't already know what an iceberg is, nah, who am I kidding? You should know by now. We're in 2025. Keep in mind that this iceberg was made prior to the official Steam game release, so I will be including new information from the release of the demo. Also, big thanks to Midna for a lot of additional information for some of these entries. One last thing, major content warning for this video. This video kinda dwarfs like all the rest of my videos in terms of maturity. Lacey Games is a really beautiful and creative series, but it is also pretty disturbing. If you can handle that, watch the series before this video. Link in description. Without further ado, let us begin. First up, the creator of the series themselves. Now, normally I would just say one thing about this and move on to the next entry, but honestly, Tundra has done so much admirable stuff. Tundra is probably in my top 10 favorite YouTube creators ever. It's actually insane how underrated they are. Not only are they an amazing animator, but if you've seen the stuff they've done for the series, it's actually insane. They somehow managed to balance two series at the same time, compose music for their own series, and create their own set pieces. Not only that, but they are also a university student, from what we were told in the Q&A. I admire Tundra so much for the creativity and effort they put into their work. So Games is the main company behind Lacey Games, founded by both Rocio and Grace. The company lasted for about presumably 6 years, from 2004 until the disbandment in 2010. I decided to merge these two entries into one because there is really no point in separating them. Rocio, Yanni, and Grace Aesop are the two founders of So Games and likely are the developers behind most of the games on the website. Rocio is much more unstable than Grace, and after enough complaints both parted ways and the company disbanded. It is speculated that the horrific situations Lacey undergoes in some of these games are projections of Rocio. Puddles is the dog of Lacey seen in episode 3, whom was killed by her terrible uncle. The dog does have some importance, as this led to Lacey's breaking point as she killed her uncle. Since both of these entries follow the same topic, I will once again bunch them together. The secret ending entry refers to the secret ending of Lacey's diner seen in episode 2. In this ending, Lacey does not feed the customers and the game derails from there. The reason why I'm not going too much into depth about the ending is because I have assumed you've already seen the episode yourself. Char87, or Charlie, is the person behind all of the videos in the web series, whom was name dropped in that same episode. Charlie interviews Grace in the 3rd and 4th installment, and could potentially interview Rosie in the future as well, implied by episode 4's ending. In the Steam demo, we actually play as Charlie, who connected their mind into the Lacey Games website. This entry could refer to two separate things, so I'll cover both of them. Firstly, it could mean the description of Macy and the usage of stars in her appearance, but more likely the latter, which would be the shirt that Lacey wears in the So site. Jay and Macy are the two best friends of Lacey, primarily seen in the 4th episode. Jay is a tomboyish skater girl that meets her untimely fate in their debut episode. Macy is a lesser known character who appears to be the most intelligent of the three. As a side note, I do hope Macy gets some focus in the official game, but I also kind of don't. Both Jay and Lacey suffer horrible fates, so maybe it's the best she stays irrelevant, for her own safety. The Stalker is a minor antagonist seen in the 1st episode of the web series. As his name suggests, he stalks Lacey and eventually eats her. Not much to say about him. He sucks, and it is presumed that he's the cute guy Lacey was gonna date in the wardrobe episode. Well, if you actually followed through what I said and watched the series, you can probably guess who this guy is. Lacey's uncle is the caretaker of Lacey who abuses her in a multitude of ways, and him dying is too nice of a punishment. I hope Lacey's uncle is suffering in hell where he belongs. Some people believe that Lacey's uncle is a stalker, but there is much evidence to prove otherwise. Extra note because I have no clue where to put this, but if you do put Lacey and her uncle in the love meter, it will initiate the end of the game demo. This entry refers to the quote Lacey says in episode 1 after begging the player to not let her dress up for her date and go outside. As you would assume if you've seen the episode, this leads to Lacey getting cannibalized. I probably should have merged this with the secret ending because this is what causes the secret ending to occur. I mean, yeah, there's video essays of Lacey's games. That's kind of how it became so popularized. Even Game Theory made a video on Lacey's games. But to be honest, I didn't find out about Lacey's Games because of the essays. This is a website that serves as a prop for the Lacey's Games website seen throughout the series. The website was accessible throughout episodes 3 and 4 of the series. It was deleted following episode 4, likely due to its usage being complete. And this website has a load of controversial history, with many fan ARGs and websites being created, causing confusion. We'll cover those a bit later. Yes, Lacey's Games has been seen all over TikTok as you would expect. As for the animation memes, it was likely also to occur with any series. In the Q&A, Tundra states that they love photography and took photos of IRL locations and used them for backgrounds in Lacey's Games and their other series. More on that other series later. Over the course of the series, a few different voice actors have been seen and heard. An example would be the stalker in the 1st episode, voiced by Ira Riri, whom also portrayed Bento in Immigrantes Road. Following the second episode, Charlie dives deeper into Lacey's games, interviewing Grace twice. Lacey Road is the Discord server for both the Immigrantis Road and the Lacey Games series. I suppose this is on this layer because you kinda have to interact more with the community to find it. In episode 4, Grace mentions controversy in regards to Jay and their death. In a few frames over the course of the episode, you can see photos of these complaints by mothers. This actually connects with another entry, as it is possible that these complaints made about Jay led to the permanent death of Jay. Currently, the only known member of Lacey's family is her uncle. However, in episode 3, a family of pigs is seen, which is speculated to be Lacey's family. Due to the actions of Lacey's uncle going under the radar and no family member intervening, it could be assumed that they are also horrible people. Although, it could just be that they're all dead and this group of pigs means something else. More on that later. Once again, I'm going to bring up Tundra's Q&A, in which they state Lacey is 19. Recently, merchandise of Lacey's games has been produced kind of frequently, most notable of the merch being the makeshift plushies of both Lacey and Jay. I assume Macy will have one in the future to complete the trilogy. Tundra released 2 BTS videos of the Lacey Games web series on their Patreon. These were soon uploaded onto YouTube. The reason why episode 1 or 2 did not have behind the scenes is likely due to Tundra finishing them in 24 hours. As for episode 3 and 4, they likely took up 2 to 3 weeks and had several changes over time. Finally, this entry. Yes, Tundra's made 2 other series alongside Lacey's games, that being Immigrantis Road and Bug Murders. I'm likely going to cover Immigrantis Road in the future, as it does pique my interest quite a bit. As for Bug Murders, I just have one thing to say. Tundra, please drop the songs for episode 1 and 2. Despite having several factors that may confuse people into believing it is, Lacey Games is not, in fact, an ARG. Even Tundra confirms it in a tweet. On April 1st, an update on the NeoCities prop website occurred. This at first appeared to be an April Fool's prank, as it removed any traces of Jay. However, it turned out to be a tease to episode 4, which involves the disappearance of Jay. In episode 2, after reaching her breaking point, Lacey creates a dish so disgusting that it is censored. This dish contained a mashup of her uncle and cigarettes, among other things. At the end of episode 4, Lacey sings a song presumably in reference to Jay's death and how it affected her. This entry relates to something later we'll touch upon. Yes, both Macy and Jay's games were teased in episode 4, however only Jay's skating has been seen thus far. This is the Reddit community where the Iceberg originated from. As mentioned in the first layer, several key factors caused the downfall of Yaneso, the most prevalent being the separation of Rosia and Grace. There's a small community on YouTube which make videos that appear to be inspired by Lacey's games in some way, whether it be the characters or the structure of the videos. The most notable example would be Best Friend September. The creator of that video also made Samara and Summer's Big Date, which I think is pretty good. Lacey's Fanzine is a fan magazine that is a collage of the fanbase's work, which can be downloaded on itch.io. It is actually really wholesome, and I encourage you to check it out if you're a Lacey Games fan. There's also one for Immigrantis Road. Earlier I mentioned how I didn't find Lacey Games through commentaries or video essays. That's because I found the unofficial version on Roblox and found the web series moments after. This problem isn't just prevalent on Roblox, but on a lot of platforms that allow people to basically recreate Lacey's games. You can find unofficial dupes of Lacey's games everywhere. Just remember, the original is the one on Steam from Ghosttundra. With any fanbase, there's bound to be shipping. It has become most prevalent in episode 4, with Jay's death, as Lacey was pretty devastated. However, there's also shipping for Macy and even a polycule of all 3 of the girls. The polycule can kind of be supported in Lacey's love meter, as putting any of the 3 girl combinations gets 100%. Tundra mentions in the Q&A how they will never label the genders or sexualities of their characters, so the possibilities are basically endless. I actually like this because I've seen so many fandoms get torn apart because of shipping. It's crazy. This is a scrapped ARG made by a fan. It can also be in reference to the YouTube channel made by another fan. These are both quotes seen in episode 4 which subtly hint to Jay's untimely demise. I'd only be caught dead wearing makeup being literally portrayed when Lacey puts makeup on Jay's corpse. This quote stems from when Lacey has a breakdown seeing Jay in the makeup parlor. Probably one of the most saddest moments in the series. In the Q&A, Tundra states that while playing through old Flash games / CDs, they got the idea of the events that occur in the first episode. Also, Tundra mentions how Lacey Games has been an outlet for their nightmare disorder. I will put up the text here, and honestly I feel so bad for them. Having a nightmare frequently is already pretty bad, but 7 in 2 days? I would hug you if I could, Tundra. In episode 4, a frame was briefly shown with an altered face of a girl and the text saying, "Smile for me, girl." It is theorized that this frame is alluding to female abuse, with men telling women that they should smile more. This is in reference to episode 3, where a masked figure, likely Rosia, briefly states the quote. This quote appears a few times over the course of the series as well, in the merchandise and in the announcement trailer. Well, this is silly of me, whoops. I've already mentioned the Tundra Q&A like 9 times before this entry. I will continue to mention it later on, most likely as it does give a load of evidence for some entries on the Iceberg. So this actually isn't from the Iceberg, but a small entry I wanted to sneak in myself. The game in demo is actually very simple and easy to play without getting bugs, but me and my friend somehow had a rough time. I don't know what he did, but he somehow soft-locked himself into getting his cursor stuck to Grace's window. I don't even think that's a game bug, just his computer. But the real funny bugs was when we had to speedrun back to where we were, because we reset the game. Some things I noted down when I showed him the demo. My friend somehow obtained 3 keys while speedrunning back to where he was when he was soft-locked. In one run, he somehow bypassed floor 2 with no keys, leading to him being stuck on the uncle's corpse room. Also, the funniest one had to be when he went so fast that he put the paste and the new teeth in the tortoise and soft-locked again. Obviously, none of these things can actually be attained in a normal casual playthrough, but me and my friend were just goofing off. I wanted to put this in because I think this is really silly. Jessica, as the fandom labels, is the first and most normal customer seen in Lacey's pet shop. I actually kind of forgot about this character, but the fandom seems to adore her. Jessica is even shipped with Lacey, and it seems that's the only notable one aside from the main trio ships. I want to note that there are a lot more normal customers seen in the actual Steam game, and that Jessica returns there. So thankfully not every customer is unhinged. Particularly in Jay's case, toxic femininity is displayed in the series, as the complaining mothers pushing their own ideals on how women should act ultimately led to Rocio killing off Jay. This entry likely is in reference to how the series distorts the comfort felt by playing childhood games. Took the first episode for example, as it quickly descended from a nice dressing game to Lacey being cannibalized. This refers to the fan album produced by Ilium for the Lacey Games fanzine. Honestly love it so much and it is very underrated. During 2024, Tundra posted a piece of art on Instagram titled Rot, which seems to display Lacey. This may also be in reference to episode 3, in which Lacey states, "I will let you rot." There is a line which plays while presumably Lacey's dead uncle crawls from the bed while on the second floor of Lacey's house. This line stems from Beneath the Skin, a horror story that was created by Cecilia. Interestingly, the actual horror narrative does parallel Lacey's pet shop, as both have a hidden corpse in the home of the killer, which is important to both stories. Cecilia also made Possibly in Michigan, which Tundra referenced multiple times. Tundra even made a cover of a song played during Possibly in Michigan, which is really good. This seems to have been an attempt by a group of fans to recreate Lacey's games with new features, however as of now there isn't any information that I could find on this project. With any Wikipedia, there's bound to be vandalism. I originally thought this entry was this low just to fill tier 4. However, Midna points that the vandalism in the past caused the original wiki to be abandoned, likely due to there being no active administrator. In the past, a fan had made an altered version of the placeholder website for episode 3 and 4, converting it into an ARG. I speculate that this may be one of the reasons why people were so confused regarding if Lacey's Games was an ARG or not. Though, the ARG was less popular than the web series itself, so maybe it was not one of the reasons. This ARG is something we'll touch back upon soon. I found a comment under the YouTube analysis of Lacey's Games that would probably explain it better than I would be able to, and supports the family being pigs theory. I will show it up on screen, feel free to pause the video to read it. A fan theory states that the customer's disappointment of Lacey's inability to feed them in the diner's secret ending is a reflection of parents complaining about the games Rocio creates. Guys, I literally could not find anything about it. I looked through Tundra's community posts and Instagram posts. I presume this is on the aforementioned Twitter accounts as the creator of this Iceberg mentions it's made by Tundra. Even though it's irrelevant to Lacey's Games, I'm kinda curious. Or maybe I'm just stupid and overlooking something. Side note, I'm sure you noticed that the length of the video is beginning to reach the end, even with the amount of entries to come. This is because a lot of the upcoming entries are self-explanatory or in relation to an ARG. I'll touch upon maybe 1 or 2 of the ARG entries, but there is a lot in the last layer. Let us proceed with layer 5. Now originally I believe this entry was referring to the pendants or the U2s, but apparently according to Midna it's referring to the cat fair that Tundra took part in. In this fair, which was at Sao Paulo, there was a lot more merchandise given out in relation to Lacey's Games. With any character that is as beloved as Lacey, there's bound to be fan merchandise, and it would appear that some creative Russians did end up making some. Fans of Lacey Games have attempted to recreate the games in Scratch. Now as far as I'm aware, most are incomplete and likely will have to remove a lot of stuff. Obviously because Scratch is a website that is targeted toward younger audiences. But I do have a history with Scratch myself, so I won't be too harsh on the people willing to try and recreate Lacey's Games on there. This theory is one of the most popular theories in the fandom, so much so that it actually is on the official Wikipedia for some reason. This theory is quite lengthy, but to summarize, it revolves around Rocio's soul possessing Lacey. I actually subscribe to this theory, and there are several pieces of evidence to support it. You can find it all on the wiki page, but one they don't mention that I think is crucial is the demo. In the demo, we see Charlie actually link up to the Lacey Games website, implying that it's very well possible that Rocio could do the same. Don't you love it when you miss something in a video you worked on for weeks? Well, in the diner episode, this theory is almost completely confirmed by a split frame of Rocio replacing Lacey. Of course, it's not confirmed until Tundra confirms it, but like, come on. Due to Lacey dying in some episodes and being fine in the next, there are a few theories that state that there are differing timelines going on. The skeleton cat that blocks Lacey from getting to her house originally was meant to be a dog with a much more gruesome appearance. Take Me Away is another fan-created song by JC WTF for Lacey's Games. I actually think it's pretty fucking good, and you should check it out. This entry is related to a fan-made ARG mentioned earlier, but we'll touch more upon it in layer 6 maybe. But for now, night.mp4 is a page that you can select in the ARG which leads to a woman on a bed with blood on her legs. Obviously, this is in reference to SA, which is alluded several times in the canon series. It seems that in response to criticism, Tundra made an alternative version of Lacey where she looks more similar to the girls' Flash games in the 2000s. Tundra also addresses his complaint in their Q&A. Though personally, I think this community post is just a silly reference to the Flash game CD Tundra played that inspired them to make this series. But now that I compare the two images, this might just be a reach. So I'll leave this entry and layer off with the quote that Tundra states: "If you have a vision, don't sacrifice that vision for fidelity." Yet again, Lacey is prevalent in music with there being a song from Avid. I'm not gonna finish that because I know I'm gonna butcher the name. Anyway, this song is so popular it's on Genius somehow, and I mean some of the lyrics parallel the series, I guess. In the fan-made ARG website, on a page titled Paradise at the very bottom, it shows a game titled Lacey's Boyfriend, and the sentence, "Do you remember me, M?" With how common this theory is, I'm surprised it's this low on the iceberg. Also, we kinda just covered this last layer with the personal hell theory. Way back in like the 3rd entry, I mentioned how the horrific events we see Lacey suffer may be a reflection of Rocio's life. This very well could be true, and would explain why Rocio appears so unhinged. I presume that we will be given the answer in the 5th episode since it was kinda teased in the 4th episode. This entry also connects with, some fans believe that Jay's death is a reflection of Rocio losing a close friend in real life. Thus why I put this one right after the last entry, although it is on a completely different part of the layer. During the goodbye song at the end of episode 4, the words denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance flash briefly. These words are all in relation to the 5 stages of grief, all of which can be speculated to occur throughout episode 4 as Lacey comes to terms with Jay's death. The timeline of Yoneso's involvement and activity in relation to Lacey's games has been debated on frequently in the community. It was speculated to occur sometime in the 2010s, but given new info from episode 4 in the game, it is likely around 2004. This is due to the first game on there being Lacey's Love Meter, which is from 2004, as Grace confirms with the Steam game. Further evidence shows the copyright being 2004 to 2010 on the website seen in the Steam game. You'd be surprised how many people got confused on the timeline. I really don't know why this is this low, since you can assume from first listening to the stalker speak. I even mentioned it earlier in the first layer. Lacey even tried to avoid going on the inevitable date with him. This is actually a theory that stems from the creator of the Iceberg, as they believe there are some parallels with both series. The imagery, the themes, among several other things. I just wanted to include this here because it's probably one of the only entries that aren't related to the ARG. Lacey's avoidance of seeing the stalker in the first episode could be considered a form of self-awareness, as Lacey could have experienced this several times before, and likely did not want to go through it again. There are several possible reasons as to why this is a theory. Firstly, Lacey's games doesn't seem to be intended to turn into a web series. Tundra had a suspicion it could blow up, but it was mainly based on the concept of addressing games slowly devolving into madness. Secondly, the Stalker's only appearance in this episode. The Stalker does not ever appear again from the games we've seen thus far. You can technically count Lacey's death as non-canon, but she always dies, for the most part, in these games. You gotta keep in mind this Iceberg was released way before the actual Steam demo, and soon enough release, of the Lacey games adaptation. So back then, this was just in the realm of possibility. Turns out, I missed evidence that confirmed this next theory to be true again. I'm still keeping this in because I really like this theory. For our final entry, I'd like to touch on one of my favorite theories in the Lacey game series. It is speculated that all the clients seen in episode 4 during the makeup parlor are dead due to their eyes being closed and their decaying effects occasionally. This would also explain why Jay is seen in the parlor, and the several times the clients are seen deformed. To expand on this theory, I like to compare the clients seen in the makeup parlor to the other customers. In both the diner and the pet shop, we see how demanding the customers can be. However, in the makeup parlor, there's really nothing that the clients say or demand of Lacey. The clients just appear and vanish after the job is finished. Well, I hope you enjoyed. To be honest, I was kind of expecting this to be a lot more larger of a video than it seemed at first. The entries for the first 4 layers were really good, but going lower kind of felt like a bunch of padding. Although it's never good to put people down, so I respect the effort the Iceberg creator put in. Of course, thanks to Midna for a lot of the information provided for this Iceberg. It would have been a lot harder to find some of these things. I guess I'm just out of touch with the fan base. I probably will never make another Lacey Games video, but I really want to talk about Immigrantus Road. So hey, if you want to see me cover more Ghost Tundra content, which I will do anyway, make sure to subscribe or something. I don't know, do what you want. For now though, thanks for watching, and I do hope to see you around in the next video. See ya!